technical issues during the broadcast, please call the Oregon Studio hotline at 336-831-0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Duck's gonna pick it up, and here we go. Got him deep. He's open. He's got it. He's gone. How about that? Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
Duarte pulls up, 3-ball. Bang!
LJ Figueroa!
Oregon goes back to back for the fourth time in the last 6 years. The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
Foley three. Goal! Foley ball. Three is good. Zavala. Wing. Pow. Yeah, boom, boom.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
What a weekend.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Busy day coming your way today on Duck Insider. Welcome to the show. We've got Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com, going to join us here coming up in just a little while. Derek Radley, also Oregon women's golf head coach. He'll be with us here in just about half an hour after a tremendous season, third best finish in the history of the Oregon women's golf program. The Ducks were 2 shots away. That's right, just 2 shots away from the match play format. And also, a pro Duck and the Oregon women's golf assistant coach, Monica Vaughn, are going to be playing in the U.S. Women's Open beginning tomorrow. We'll talk with Coach Radley about that. Also, tomorrow we're going to chat with Chris Crutchfield. We actually talked with him, full disclosure, earlier today. The Oregon men's basketball assistant coach. We got a chance to meet him via Zoom. It was kind of a get-to-know-you interview and talked for about 15 minutes or so we got 2 parts for you coming up because it's going to be a lot of fun, to be honest, talking with Coach Crutchfield. You're going to enjoy hearing him discuss where the team is at, and really I think it's kind of exciting to already be thinking about basketball season, like with the way the roster is shaping up, the way that things are starting to piece together for the Ducks around. I'm looking forward to what a really interesting offseason will lead to next year, because the transfer portal, as we all know, is just going berserk. It's been crazy. So how do you handle that if you're a coach? Well, we talked with Coach Crutchfield about that, and that is coming your way on the show tomorrow. Of course, Oregon baseball getting ready for the Eugene Regional Friday at 2 o'clock against Central Connecticut State University, the Blue Devils. By the way, speaking of the Blue Devils, Coach Mike Krzyzewski is going to retire after this next season. Never forget Dylan Brooks hitting that 3 at the end of that NCAA tournament game. Oh, that was great. One of the biggest wins for Oregon basketball. And that's a memory that I'll have forever, is just Dylan Brooks hitting that shot. And Jerry Allen's call of it. God, we should have pulled it out of the archives. Jerry's call of it was just like the perfect, and he made it. Like, Dylan just heaves it up from almost half court, right? Just heaves it up there, goes in, and everyone was going like, wow, he hit that. Can't believe it. And, well, what do you know? So Coach K retiring, and that was honestly, like, this tells you just how Duck-centric this show is and how Duck-centric I am and how I think about things. But for real, that was like the first thing I thought of when I saw that Coach K was going to retire. And that, like, the man's accomplished so much. We all know that. And that's what everyone's going to be talking about now for the next year. But that was the first thing I thought of, is Dylan's shot. So anyway, that was kind of a fun thing. We're all going to break down the Oregon Baseball Regional. I want to give you kind of the full schedule and some keys to this regional here in a moment. I've been doing some digging on Central Connecticut State and LSU and Gonzaga, the 3 teams that will join Oregon here in Eugene. Janice Jen, though, this is cool. The highest ever final singles ranking for an Oregon player in program history. Janice Jen checks in at number 6 in the last ITA tennis singles rankings of the year. congratulations, Janice. I mean, a run to the national semifinals as an individual, and just what a cool story. Congratulations to Janice Jen. And, we talk about the country club sports, as you would call them, right? And Coach Radley has talked about this before, that those programs are so close to each other. Janice is actually roommates with a couple members of the Oregon women's golf team. So the crossover is just cool in that regard, right? And so everybody was cheering each other on, and man, just what an awesome story for Janice Jen. So the Courtney Nagel's got a good team coming back. A lot of good young talent for women's tennis and really for both men's and women's golf too, if you want to talk about those two matchups. All right, the Oregon Baseball Regional coming up. Our broadcast plan, of course, we will have every game for you here on the Oregon Sports Network that Oregon is involved in. Now, the schedule does get a little bit confusing to follow. I am 100% the first to admit that, because trying to keep track of when all the broadcasts could be, it gets a little bit nutty. So 2 o'clock on ESPN3, and that means a 1:45 pregame show with myself on the Oregon Sports Network. The Ducks are going to play Central Connecticut State. Don't know who Oregon's going to pitch yet. They're still figuring that out. The game notes have been released. By the way, there's an awesome page on GoDucks.com, the Eugene Regional Central page, where those of you who want to see the stats, the rosters of the teams that are coming in, Todd Miles and the rest of the sports information crew here at Oregon have put together a page that gives you the links to all the notes. And those notes are what make me sound like I know what I'm talking about, as I just read through all of the great information that's put in front of me. Well, Central Connecticut State is a team that won their conference tournament. They got in by beating Bryant, who finished ahead of them in their regular season standings. Had to beat them twice and did it. So congratulations to the Blue Devils for making their way in against the number 14 national seed in the Ducks. That's going to be 2 o'clock on Friday. LSU Gonzaga, 7 o'clock on Friday. There's going to be a minimum of 55 minutes in between games, by the way. So if you see, like, for example, the Sunday games might be a little bit tighter in the window, I guess would be the way to describe it. It's a 3 o'clock start and a 7 o'clock start potentially on Sunday. That could move around. Just know that postseason baseball, it tends to happen that way. So if you're just joining us and you've missed kind of the way the double elimination bracket works, yeah, everything is a double elimination bracket for both baseball and softball. So for baseball, whoever wins between Oregon and Central Connecticut State and LSU Gonzaga would be in the winner's bracket. Those two teams move on. They would play at 7 o'clock on Saturday, while the losers in the elimination bracket would play at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So if you're the Ducks, the real key is to stay in the winner's bracket. You don't have to use your pitching as much. If you go 2-0, then you've got 2 opportunities to beat a team to advance to a super regional. The super regionals, you're rooting against Tennessee, everybody. If Tennessee gets upset, then the Ducks might be hosting a super regional here in Eugene the upcoming weekend, which will also be the track and field championships, by the way. So I'm hoping that there's a lot of events going on in Eugene. That's the goal, right? So a 1 o'clock game and then a 7 o'clock game the following day for the losers bracket first, then the winners bracket. So then after that point, obviously whoever loses the second game between the two losers, I should say, that team is eliminated. The winner of that team then moves to 1-1 and would play the loser of the winner's bracket game, which it would be at 7 o'clock on Saturday. I know it gets confusing. It probably sounds a lot more confusing than it really is as I go through and describe it. But basically, it's a double elimination, and the if necessary game would take place if there ends up being 2 teams that are 2-1. If there's 2 teams that are 2-1, then you got to play the game on Monday. So at the end of the day, you want to stay in that winner's bracket. If you stay in the winner's bracket, then the regional is really just a 3-game weekend series. If you go into the loser's bracket, you might have to end up playing that extra game. So if you go into the loser's bracket, there's a chance that you could play at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Then you'd also have to play at 3 o'clock on Sunday. And if you move on from the 3 o'clock on Sunday game, it could be 7 o'clock on Sunday that you would play as well. So if you're in the loser's bracket, you're pretty much immediately at a disadvantage pitching-wise. Does that make sense? And so I think for any team, pitching is always so key in a regional, because if you can stay in the winner's bracket, then it's just a regular weekend series. And if you end up having to play the if-necessary game, if you lose a game from that winner's bracket onward, it's your 4th pitcher. It's a midweek game, right? It's like a 4-game weekend series. So That's how I've always approached it, is the real key is to stay in the winner's bracket. Now, we've seen it happen before where teams that lose that first game, they have to play a game on Saturday. After they play that game on Saturday, they advance to play the first game on Sunday. They win that game, what do you know? They're playing again on Sunday. They win that game, you're playing again on Monday. So if you have to play 5 games compared to 3, that's the difference potentially between coming out of the loser's bracket and coming out of the winner's bracket. So when I sit here and talk about all this, just know that that's the breakdown for why I think the pitching strategy gets so intense, for lack of a better phrase, between these different teams, because you're trying to figure out how do you match up, how do you do this? And so you heard Robert Alstrom say earlier this week that he'd prefer to pitch that first game because it's important to win that first game. And then the competitor that Robbie Alstrom is, who I think should be the Pac-12 pitcher of the year, he's saying, well, I'll come back Monday if I have to. That's what you don't want to do if you're the Ducks. You'd like to avoid that. And Oregon's pitching, though, I'll say, is I think deep enough to go far. Now, Gonzaga looks like they're going to be without their Saturday starter heading into this weekend series and this weekend regional. That means Gonzaga's already at a little bit of a disadvantage. Looks like LSU's going to start their best guy in that first game against Gonzaga. I don't know. The pitching sure stacks up in Oregon's favor. Now, we can sit here and break all this down and talk about everything, and at the end of the day, I just love postseason baseball. I do want to break down the bracket in a little bit more detail, some of the other Pac-12 regionals to watch, because there's actually potential that some Pac-12 teams could meet in the College World Series, which would be great problem to have if it's teams in the College World Series. And with that in mind, we're back in the pack and welcoming in one Rob Moseley. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Joseph.
How are you today?
I have no complaints. How are you?
Did you talk about the Dodgers last week?
No, it didn't come up.
That's good. Then I'm doing great, and Rob Moseley can definitely continue to come on the show. What are you writing about on GoDucks.com today, Rob?
I'm not writing about anything on GoDucks.com today. I'm just talking to you, and I might go out and do some baseball interviews later.
Well, that's something.
Yeah,
that's
I just
something.
won't actually be writing anything.
So tomorrow and Friday, there will be a lot of baseball content on GoDucks.com.
Yeah, well, there already is. Our man Todd Miles is capably handling that.
The Eugene Regional Central, by the way. I'm telling you, everybody, you can get the full breakdown of all the different notes and matchups, and that's where you can get all the information on GoDucks.com. Rob, I want to get a quick timeout because you're joining us right on time. I was just breaking down the bracket, though, and I'm curious, Rob, your thoughts just before we hit a timeout and then get into our full conversation here. I know March Madness and like the bracket, the traditional bracket is what it's all about, right? Like a 64-team single elimination, like let's go, that's what it's all about. To me, though, there's something magical about all these miniature double elimination tournaments around baseball and softball that just gives it an extra flavor and feeling for me. This is like the postseason that I love. I don't know. Do you feel that way at all? Like, do you like these little miniature tournaments that happen in this round?
I mean, I love the format, yeah, and I think it for the way baseball is played, it makes a lot more sense than a one and done like the men's basketball. I mean, there's nothing like the men's basketball and women's basketball tournament brackets, just having those, and it's just so clean and clear. I mean, if you were putting the baseball bracket on one sheet of paper, it would be pretty unwieldy. But it just makes so much more sense for these sports to do a double elimination format. And when you're hosting, which Oregon obviously earned the right to do, it's pretty special to feel like, yeah, you have a little mini tournament that's going on, and at the end, somebody's going to be crowned that tournament champion. Not that that's the final goal, but that's the goal this weekend. Yeah,
that's a goal. And in a perfect world, just go 3-0.
Yep.
Don't go 3-1. Don't go 4-1. Don't go 5-1. No, you don't want that. It's 3-0, baby.
Yeah.
3-0. Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Quick timeout. When we come back, a lot of things to unpack. We will be asking him about the highest ever singles ranking for an Oregon player in tennis history. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to relieve volatilize it.
Vala, what?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
Ah, it's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor-charged characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the Dew.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Learfield IMG College.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really have a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here inside the Country Financial Studio. Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, continuing to be with us on the University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line. Rob, have you had any crumble cookies yet?
Oh, yeah. Those are popular in my household.
Oh, that was a great. Have you had the churro one yet?
Maybe.
Oh, man, we got word that they were doing a churro flavor at Crumble Cookies, and Scott and I still haven't made it over there since they started doing that flavor, but I gotta get my hands on that one from Crumble Cookies. Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. Welcome back to Cookie Insider. Rob, we were talking about baseball and just the way that things break down. You know, I'll just ask you this. I mean, Rob, this is so much fun for me being with this team, and I was around the team when the first season was being played, but wasn't the broadcaster. And so seeing it as a student and as a fan, now seeing where the program is with Coach Wazakowski, getting a chance to host a regional in his second year, which didn't even really get a whole first year. Just how would you summarize right now where this program's at? How cool is it what we're seeing in front of us for Oregon baseball?
You know, it's funny. Mario Cristobal likes to say just getting started, right? And I think we've seen some other teams kind of pick up that mantle. You know, I think women's golf feels like they were in that position after their NCAA tournament performance, and I feel like I'm viewing Waz in the baseball program through that prism too. That that getting to a regional is great, but that's what he wants the expectation for his program to be. And so whether it's this, they're just getting started with this postseason run or just getting started in the long term. I think, Coach Waz is happy for his current players, particularly the veterans, seniors, that they got this chance, and happy for the fan base. But also, he's not going to be doing backflips about just making a regional. He wants to, compete for championships. And so I think it's where he wants, it's a baseline for what he wants his program to be. It is impressive, no doubt, that he got the team here in his first full year. But you sort of, I think he'd want people to kind of temper their enthusiasm about just making the field.
Sure. Well, and I think that says a lot about the kind of program that he wants to build. And what I took away, Rob, doing interviews with the team on Monday, I was asking all of them about, just what does it mean to be here? And, you finished second in the Pac-12, and that's something to be proud of. But they're already saying, well, yeah, but the next goal in front of us is now we could go win a national championship. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, I guess, to describe this, I guess, in the simplest way. That's the kind of stuff that it's not like someone's telling the guys to say that in an interview. That really is their mindset around the program right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for guys like Kenyon Yovan and Gabe Matthews, they played this year to try to get this team to Omaha. And that's something I think folks around the program the last few years have been a little hesitant to verbalize, because there's been years past where it was, it's stated explicitly as a goal, and, it wasn't reached. And then you feel like you got egg on your face a little bit. And, you sort of go back and forth between, okay, let's talk about it, let's not. 1 year it's let's talk about it, 1 year it's let's not talk about it. And for a while, neither tack was working. And I think so. I think there was just some hesitation to verbalize that too openly. But that was what those guys wanted to do, and so now that's in front of them. And so that's just one more reason why, this is, getting to the field is great. You can't get to Omaha if you don't make the field at all, but it's not it's certainly not the end goal by any means.
What do you think is the key, Rob, in a regional setting, and for this team in particular? What's the key for Oregon to win this regional and keep moving on?
Yeah, what's the state of your pitching going into Sunday and perhaps Monday if it goes to that? I think this program feels like its pitching staff is really, really deep. But now is when you find out, more than at any other point in the season. Now is when you find out just how much quality depth you have. It'd be great if the three starters could all throw complete game shutouts, and you go 3-0 and you're through. Given the quality of the competition, that would be no small feat. So if that happens, awesome. But you also need to be prepared to need a few arms out of the bullpen. So just how does that pitching look as the weekend plays out? Which means getting a quality effort where you don't have to go too deep into that staff Friday, trying to get another one of those Saturday, and then hopefully you got a whole lot of cards still in your deck Sunday and perhaps Monday.
Yeah, and because if you can do that again, for everybody who's looking at the schedule and how things could shake out, if you win the first two, then basically you have two chances to just win one more. If you lose the first one, your back's up against the wall, because in order to get out of the regional and win it, you'd have to play two on Sunday, and then it just gets a little bit nutty, because you might have to then also play another one on Monday, and the pitching just really, really gets taxed. Rob, what I'm excited to see too is I think that when you get to the postseason, that there's so many different athletes around the country that people get excited about. Well, for me, one of those guys is Aaron Zavala. I think Aaron Zavala is really kind of bursting onto the scene now of a guy he's not the most vocal guy. He's not the most out there in interviews like you see some other athletes doing, but man, he talks with his game. That dude's hitting almost 400. He's one of the best in the country and getting on base. Just a complete hitter. I hope that everybody realizes just how good the Kaiser, Oregon native is here once we get through this postseason.
Yeah, it is a skill that's hard to, kind of break through the noise and get wide appreciation for. But, I mean, the guy's just a walking single up the middle. I mean, he just – and teams have tried shifts on him, and, he still finds ways to just get the ball through the infield into the outfield and to get himself to first base. So, he all those guys, though, Kenyon and Gabe and, and Robbie and all, particularly all the in-state kids, it's just – yeah, you hope this is you hope they feel like they perform well and that they really soak up this experience and make the most of it and keep playing for a while, because they've put in the time. Every team feels like they've worked as hard as anybody else and they deserve anything they have coming. But we want to see our guys rewarded. Forget about all those other guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You want to see them have a positive experience for sure.
That's right. From one diamond sport to another, Rob, just coming out now, Haley Cruz and Brooke Yanez named All-Americans. That's pretty cool. Tip of the cap, I think, to the seasons that they put together.
Yeah, I think we knew when we were watching them all year, when with Haley Cruz, you're watching one of the best hitters in the country, and with Brooke Yanez, one of the best pitchers in the country. So nice to see that recognized, and just really excited for that program and the future they have ahead of them with the talent they have returning and the recruiting class they have coming in. Obviously a heartbreaking end to this past season, but really valuable experience. To get into a regional, to stay alive and win a do or die game and keep yourself alive for one more. So that that's going to pay dividends. That sting they felt is going to pay dividends. Might get you into the batting cage on a cold, rainy fall day when you don't otherwise want to go, that sort of thing. So they'll build off that, and big things to come. And Haley going pro, it'd be fun to watch her. Having Brooke back is going to be a real luxury.
Yeah. Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. Rob, one of the best runs I think we've seen in recent memory at Oregon is Janice Jen. Yeah. Highest ever final singles ranking for an Oregon player. The Oregon women's tennis player went, and by the way, just a freshman, went all the way to the national semifinals as an individual. I mean, you talk about what was a fun story to follow. That was awesome last week.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to Alex last week, but I was doing some interviews with them several weeks ago, and talking to Courtney, their head coach, and she was saying Janice was off practicing, and I was just we were making small talk about how good of a season Janice is having, and she looked over to the wall where all the All-Americans have their wall hangings, and said I think her picture is going to be up on that wall eventually. And did she know for certain it was going to be this year? She probably hoped that was the case and knew that was a possibility, but to see her cement that status so early, and just make a statement about what the next couple of years could hold for her is really impressive. And she's just a player who's always in control, of her emotions, of her game, and just really dominant. I mean, dominated all season. Most of her matches were very dominant performances. I got a chance to watch at least one of her NCAA championship matches, and it was just the way she could fluster her opponent by just staying composed and staying in control of her game was really impressive. And yeah, so really, really impressed by that run.
Well, and talking about All-Americans, it takes one to know one. Courtney Nagel was one here at Oregon when she was a player, so that's saying something. Hey, lastly, Rob, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your latest podcast. Talk about one of the best designers that Nike's ever seen. Are we a little biased in saying that?
No, I mean, I think the Ohana uniform kind of backs that up. That Daryl Hawkins had such a key role helping design, and the storytelling involved in that uniform was really something. So yeah, I hope everybody checks that out. I mean, I think that's the sort of thing you tell kids in recruiting, that potentially their relationship with Nike could yield an opportunity like the one he got. And boy, did he take advantage of it. I mean, one of the first stories I did when I came over to the athletic department was to follow him for a day when he used to have to drive up to Portland a couple times a week for night classes at the end of a day that it started with football practice. And just a guy who, he was a grown up, he was wise beyond his years and prepared beyond his years to take advantage of the opportunities that he had, because of his athletic scholarship, but as a student and, in terms of professional development, he really made the most of it. So cool to see it all paying off. And I mean, Daryl's job is literally to sit around at Nike and think up cool stuff. And that's you got to have some ability, some creativity, but that's the dream, and he's living it out. So it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about thinking things up that actually mean anything. So to Daryl, good work, buddy. Tip my cap. Yeah. Rob Moseley's the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, on Twitter at GoDucks. Moseley, Mighty Oregon Podcast, where you get your podcasts. And Rob, I guess we'll be seeing you at PK Park. Then we'll be seeing you hopefully at PK Park again at Hayward Field. And then before you know it, we're going to be seeing you at Autzen. We'll catch up with you again next week, buddy.
Sounds like a plan. Have a good one.
He's Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. When we come back, a little more detail on the softball All-American announcements. And how about the amazing season for Oregon women's golf? We're talking with Derek Radley, their head coach, coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at North Fork Public House, open for dine-in and takeout, northforkeugene.com. Oregon softball just coming out. A couple All-Americans for you. And Haley Cruz and Brooke Yanez earned third-team All-America honors following the 2021 season. Cruz and Yanez are the 26th and 27th All-Americans in softball program history. Well, this marks the 10th time that Oregon has had multiple players earn All-America recognition. Yanez had one of the best seasons we've ever seen as a pitcher, striking out the third most batters in Oregon single-season history with 268. Led the Pac-12, sitting 13th nationally with 10.29 strikeouts per 7 innings. 22-6 record, 2.11 ERA. Pretty darn good, and man, it's going to be nice to have Brooke Yanez back in the circle for the Ducks. Meanwhile, Haley Cruz led the team with a .389 batting average while leading the Ducks in 6 other major offensive categories. She finished her 5-year stellar career as the only player in school history to lead the team in hitting in 4 straight seasons. And God, there's been some great hitters in this Oregon softball program. A bunch of them come to mind right away, and I'm going, wow, and Haley's the only one to ever do that. She ranks 5th in batting average and runs scored while sitting in 7th with 63 stolen bases, tied for 8th with 38 doubles. And Haley Cruz now going to go play for the Pride in the professional softball ranks, the USSSA Pride. Congratulations to Haley Cruz. That's pretty darn cool. Her and Brooke Yanez, both All-Americans, announced today. Women's golf, it was a tremendous season for Oregon women's golf. I talk about players like Heather Lynn and Branch Chacon, and just the way that the Ducks, even with a young roster, performed really well down the stretch of this season. They were 2 strokes shy of getting into the match play format, which, remember, so it's stroke play for 3 rounds. Then there's a cut line. Then there's 1 more round of stroke play, and then the top 8 teams advance to the match play portion where it's really just a playoff, right? I love the match play format. I think it's great for golf. It was awesome to see it on the Golf Channel and the way that the Ducks performed down the stretch. And this is a team that's going to have everybody back. It was the 3rd best finish, a top 10 finish. It was the 3rd best finish for Oregon in the history of the program. And again, everybody's coming back. We're going to talk with the women's golf head coach, Derek Radley, coming up in just a moment. First, your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. We've been going through the baseball regional, and I was thinking about this morning with the way that the bracket sets up, and this is what I wanted to hit on today. You're not going to see any super regional matchups between Pac-12 teams, which is great. Oregon State is in the number 6 overall seed, TCU's region. They'd have to get out of that as one of the lower seeded teams. But then, other than that, Arizona State would have to pull an upset over Texas, which, by the way, that is a loaded regional. Texas got Fairfield, which is a team that their RPI was ridiculously high, but their strength of schedule was ridiculously low. They only lost 3 games all year, Fairfield did. Well, ASU is going to have to play Fairfield to get out of that Austin regional. So that's the number 2 seed in Texas that Arizona State is playing. Stanford's the number 9 overall seed, hosting the likes of UC Irvine, North Dakota State, and Nevada. And UCLA actually, and so I misspoke, UCLA actually is in the number 8 Texas Tech regional. If UCLA wins that regional, we could see Stanford and UCLA playing in the super regionals. And meanwhile, Tucson is the number 5 overall, Arizona is the number 5 overall seed hosting the Tucson Regional. And those are the Pac-12 teams for you. 6 of the Pac-12 squads. And remember, there's only 11 Pac-12 teams for baseball. Colorado doesn't have a baseball, so it's really the Pac-11. Those are your matchups on your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington, where special diet requests and custom orders are always welcome. Menus, nutrition info, cafeyum.com. Derek Radley, Oregon women's golf head coach. He's going to join us right after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Dear Freedom, Toyota hybrids say let's go. Faster and further, revving with power and slicing through curves. From the athletic RAV4 hybrid to the elegant Venza and the swagger-filled Sienna, we're taking adventure further. So let's go places, Toyota hybrids.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Freedom, Toyota hybrids say let's go. Faster and further, revving with power and slicing through curves. From the athletic RAV4 hybrid to the elegant Venza and the swagger-filled Sienna, we're taking adventure further. So let's go places, Toyota hybrids.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics. This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, everybody in the car, let's go.
What are we gonna do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joy Mack inside the Country Financial Studio, and it's a pleasure to have Derek Radley, Oregon women's golf head coach, with us in the Country Financial Studio. Normally, you're on that TV.
I am. That's it right there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
The University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line. I got to rebrand. It's now the UOAA chair, the guest chair. So
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for being here. For real, this is great.
Yes.
You know, so all right. Historic season. One of the best finishes in program history for Oregon women's golf this past year, by the way. Just open-ended question. Recap the season for us.
If I had to use one word to sum it up, I'd say thankful. You know, there was a moment there where we didn't know if we were going to play, as much of the other sports probably felt the same. We didn't have our ladies back in the fall. So for them to come back in January ready to go and have the success that they had, extremely proud and so thankful. It made memories for a lifetime, and so we're just going to use it as momentum and keep moving forward.
What are you going to remember most from this odd year?
Oh, man. You know, I think just the perseverance that our ladies had. It was so challenging for them, Joey. I mean, in all the sports, you know, we're all in our own hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Not able to have team dinner together. Those times are really special that you can have together. And so for them just to be able to, I guess, try to feel like they're together at practice, those times were fun, just to where we can laugh. And it's not necessarily the success that we had on the golf course. It was the fun times that we had at practice or at workouts when we did actually have time to spend together.
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing. Like, everybody always would joke, oh, I wish I could have my own hotel room on the road.
Yeah.
And now it's like everyone's going to be like, I don't want my own hotel room on the road.
Exactly.
I don't want that anymore. Derek Radley joining us. You know, it's the third best finish in program history. So just how much can you take now for your young roster and build on that moving forward? You know, I know that's kind of like an obvious thing. You got to work at it to have the youth perform, but
Well, we're extremely excited. Everybody's coming back. And so, this golf course that we had the opportunity to play this year that the ladies earned to play at the National Championship is Greyhawk Golf Club in Scottsdale. And we were one of 24 teams that were able to play it and get reps on it. So this golf course is actually going to host the National Championship for the next 2 years. So I feel like I learned every inch of that golf course. I know our Ducks did probably the same. And we're excited to hopefully get back and have another crack at it.
And now you're going to be able to build your roster still, right? So
right.
we were talking just during the break. I mean, holy cow, you can go recruit now? What?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What's that going to be like?
I called Jody Sykes, our sport liaison. She's the best. And I said, Jody, what can I do? And she said, go. And I said, go? She goes, go. I said, okay, I'm going. So, was able to pull up junior tournaments again and can't wait to get out there and watch those young ladies play. And it seems like it's been a lifetime since I had that opportunity.
So what's the schedule? I mean, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so just kind of recapping, the season with our team, laying out really specific game plans for them this summer, whether they want to stay in Eugene or go home, and trying to pinpoint what tournaments they want to play in and looking to get better each and every day. But just enjoying it, and also more importantly, I've really enjoyed being able to spend some time with my family.
Sure.
So with the wife and the kiddos.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, hey, so you had something interesting there because I feel like in golf, your student athletes are able to go out and play in these other tournaments themselves,
Yes.
right, and get better.
Yes.
So how do you strategize that as a staff with each individual student athlete? Like, okay, we want you to do this, you want to do this. I don't know. How do you break all that down?
Yeah. So. Really, they take a lot of ownership to it. They've been playing in tournaments their whole lives, and golf is obviously very individual.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some huge tournaments in the summertime, and with the success that our Ducks have had, I'm excited for them to receive some special invitations to some big tournaments.
Nice.
Yes.
That's what it's all about, right?
That's right.
That's what
That's
it's
right.
all about.
That's
You've
right.
got some of the top-ranked amateurs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk with you a little bit about your roster, and I'm just going to start with Bree Chacon. I mean,
yeah.
What a season. And you talk about raising rankings. I mean, this was a meteoric rise really all season long for her in the rankings.
I'm so proud of her. I think last year, look, we've always known she's a superstar, and we just need to tidy up a couple things. And sometimes that transition to college can be challenging, especially when you're playing for a team and you've only been really playing for yourself in junior golf. And so, the freshman year, she had some success, but this year she just took it to a whole new level. In mid-January, I think she was ranked in the low 300s in the world, and right now she's 98.
Wow.
So she's had 5 top 10 finishes.
Incredible.
And just continues to elevate, along with all of them, what we're looking to do and what we're looking to accomplish.
Two-part question now for another individual who you affectionately refer to as CTC.
Yes.
Who first came up with the name CTC?
So it's actually CCT.
CCT.
You should hear my little guy say it, Ryder. He's 1.5. He says CC. He loves CC, yes.
See, now
yes.
I'm all messed up.
So
and
it's
I feel
CCT.
God.
Sorry.
No, this
is
good.
Or Christine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But CCT. She told us. We asked her.
CCT. Okay.
Yeah. She and so man, I'm so proud of them, all of them. I'm extremely proud of that one. So. She opened up, I think, at the national championship and shot 5 over.
Yeah.
And her and I had a really special moment after the round, and we talked for a long time. And we got some really cool things working behind the scenes, her and I. And she came out and shot 1 under even, and finished tied for 20th, the best on the team.
Not bad, huh?
So she's a rock star, and I'm excited for her moving forward.
How about Heather?
Yeah, she's – So Heather, Heather's the best. So Heather, she came through that final round. You can just see that leadership, the upperclassman. She's a junior. Next year she's going to be our lone senior. But you could really see in that final round she went bogey-free 2 under to try to get her team through and make that top 8. And you could just see it, and I'm so proud of the progress that she's made in the 3 years. She's happy. I think she's actually going to stick around here all summer, which I'm really excited for,
cool.
and working it out of Eugene to play in some tournaments. But her being a senior leader, I think, is going to be huge for us next year.
I'm glad you brought up the leadership, because I feel like that's something in collegiate golf, it's unique that it's a team sport, right? Like you and I have talked about this before. How valuable is that for a coach to have that leadership on the course? I mean, because I was watching that, to be honest, and First of all, it was great that it was on the Golf Channel. I absolutely loved it. I could follow it along more than just reading it on GolfStat. But Heather Lynn, I felt like every time they showed her, like there was just this poise about her. I mean, is that an accurate description?
Yeah, it's huge. And you know, I think the visual aspect of it, in other words, the players looking at each other.
Yeah.
And they can read body language, right? And so somebody's really struggling on the course, they can see that and they feed off of that. But if Heather's out there kind of setting that, whether she's being having a good day or not, we talk about that all the time, is continuing to have good body language so that your teammates continue to feed off that positivity.
You talked a little bit about, you know, just the way that your squad finished and how important it is now with that experience moving forward. But I just want to recap for everybody, like, this was a top 10 finish, right? I mean, so I know you guys would have liked to be in that match play format, and believe me, I think match play is great for golf. I'm a huge believer in it.
Yes.
I feel like next year you guys are going to be right there, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right, is to try to get into those top 8. So the top 8 teams advance to match play, and in that scenario, anything can happen.
Right.
I don't think in the 6 years, I think it's been 6 or 7 years that we've gone to match play, I don't think the number 1 seed has ever won.
Yeah.
So anything can happen, and so we missed it by 2 shots to advance into that. And you think about it, you know, 4 days of golf, 4 players counting each day. That's so many strokes, and it amounts to just 2 shots. And so we were so close, but we're going to take that experience and use it, and we're more motivated than ever for next year.
So you like that format? I mean,
I love it.
You're a big fan?
Yeah, I you know, extremely thankful for the partnership with Golf Channel. I think it just continues to expose our sport. And really gives our student athletes the opportunity for them to see what it would be like in front of cameras, and because a lot of them do have aspirations to play at the professional level, and it's different. You know, when Golf Channel cameras up in your face and doing it, but it's a great experience, and we talk about it all the time. That's what we play for, is that last tournament of the year, because it really feels like a professional event, and they do such a great job, and Scottsdale was such a great venue this year.
Do you notice a difference did you notice a difference in your athletes? Like when they saw the cameras, did it make a difference? Did you feel it?
To be honest, no.
That's good.
And I was so proud of them.
Yeah.
Because we had prepped them for that. You know, Coach Mo has had experience as a player in front of cameras. This week especially, we'll get to that.
Yep.
But, you know, and I have as a coach, and we talk to him all the time. You know, we just have to treat it like any other normal tournament that we're playing in. And I know it can feel a little bit different, but at the same time, I do think none of them have been in that scenario before. And so for us to gain that experience this year, get our feet wet, next year, I'm really excited for.
So what's the roster outlook for next year?
You know, it's going to be a battle. I mean, but we're excited for. We have a young lady actually joining us from Medford, Bailey Hamrickson. And Bailey is a superstar. She actually just shot 64 in a high school tournament.
Wow.
She's going to be a great fit. We're excited to have some local Oregon talent join us. But we have our 5 ladies coming back who all played in that lineup this year at Greyhawk, and I can't wait.
Elevates everybody, right, when you have that competition?
It does.
Love that. Derek Radley joining us. All right, so you mentioned you know, you got an assistant coach who's just, oh, by the way, playing in the U.S. Open
How about that?
coming up this week. So, hey, tell fans.
I should have a sign. Go Coach Mo.
Go Coach Mo.
Yeah.
We're on it.
Yes.
We're on it.
Yeah.
Scott, we're going to have to make something. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, just recap for fans, you know, the story of how Coach Mo got there. You know, I've talked about it on the show a lot, but, God, it's just so cool. It's going to be great to watch this weekend.
So – Coach Mo, look, I tell people all the time, she was probably my least favorite player, college player I've ever coached against.
Okay.
Right? Because I was at Arizona, she was at Arizona State, because she beat us all the time.
Yeah.
And so no score that Coach Mo shoots on the golf course surprises me.
Sure.
She is one of the most talented players that I've ever seen. And when she gets hot, she gets hot. And so kind of backstory as to how she got it. Now, first off, she's never qualified for U.S. Women's Open before. And so this is her first time playing. So we were coaching the Pac-12 championship at Stanford. So we, myself and Brianna Chacon and Jody Sykes, we actually flew back to Eugene. And then Coach Mo took 4 of our other Ducks, and they flew to Portland. They got in about 10:30 at night. This is Sunday evening after the Pac-12 championship. And Coach Mo, I think her tee time to go try to qualify for the U.S. Open was next morning, like at 7:45.
Okay.
So, you know, we get back in Eugene. We're all tired from tournaments, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, how are these ladies going to be able to play? They're going to be exhausted. And I flip open my phone, and I see Coach Mo go 7 birdies and an eagle.
Yep.
In 18 holes.
Not bad.
to shoot 63. And I almost fumbled my phone, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I'm texting with Nate Kruger, our SID, and I'm like, Nate, dog, you see what's going on? And so I'm like, I'm not saying anything to jinx it because she still has 18 holes left. So in the qualifier, it's 36 holes one day. If you finish, it's a marathon. And if you finish in the top 2 spots out of everybody playing that day, you have earn the right to play in the U.S. Women's Open. And she held on. She shot 1 under in the afternoon. And
still pretty good, right?
And shot 10 under for the day and won the qualifier by 2 shots.
Yep.
How about that?
It's awesome.
I am forever thankful to have Coach Mo on my hip. I mean, she's a superhero to our ladies, and to do that is just like, holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I think we can say honorary pro duck, right? Like if you're a coach, you're still a pro duck,
no doubt.
So yeah, that's awesome. So hey, follow along, and you actually do have a pro duck competing in the U.S. Open also.
Kathleen Scavo, I'm so excited. So Kathleen's so funny. I texted her. Kathleen qualified in California. Mm-hmm. She got through her site, actually won her site as well. And Kathleen graduated from our program 2 years ago, and I texted her. I said, way to go, kiddo, congratulations. And her response was, Coach Mo's annoying.
Because Coach Mo gets it the same day.
I know. And she said, it was so funny. We were laughing, and she goes, I can't wait. And so they've been playing practice rounds together in San Francisco, which is where the Open is, starting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I think Coach Mo tees off at 2:37, I believe, off number 1, and then Kathleen Scavo actually tees off at 2:57 off number 1. So I think there's a tee time in between the two. But so proud of them and can't wait to cheer them on.
You're going to be able to follow along. A lot of different coverage of the U.S. Women's Open. I know I'm going to be watching, and then we got baseball in the afternoon on Friday, so I'm hoping that they're playing right at about the same time. Give you some updates during the baseball game as well as everything moves forward. Well, Coach, I can't thank you for always taking the time enough. I mean, it's just so much fun to chat with you, and it's great to have you back in the studio. I really hope that we're doing this every time.
Yes.
Technology's great, but God, I hate that TV.
Yeah,
I'm just so done looking at that TV.
It's way better in person, buddy.
It's the best.
It's great to see you. Thanks for having me, and certainly excited to get on the recruiting trail this summer, but hopefully we can keep going in person from here on out.
Yeah, I hope so. Derek Radley, Oregon Women's Golf head coach. A lot of momentum with his program right now, and best of luck to some pro Ducks.
Yes, I appreciate it, buddy. Go Ducks.
We're going to get a quick timeout. When we come back, if you missed it earlier, Coach K is retiring. How about we relive one of the best moments from Oregon's perspective in Coach K's history after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
On March 5th, 2021, we lost a larger-than-life member of the Oregon Ducks family. Chris Bjork passed away surrounded by his wife Allison and their 3 sons, Anders, Henry, and Jordy. After spending more than 26 years working with the University of Oregon, we are proud to establish the Chris Bjork Scholarship Fund in his honor. Go to goducks.com/Bjork Scholarship. That's goducks.com/Bjork Scholarship to make a contribution and help us remember a great Duck.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Okay, man. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. If you missed it earlier, Mike Krzyzewski, Duke head coach, one of the most successful coaches, I think, in any sport that we've ever seen, is going to retire after this upcoming season. And I will say it again, the first thing that I thought of, when I saw, oh, he's going to retire was, oh, yeah, I remember when Dylan Brooks hit a shot and Scott Phillips, swish. I mean, he drilled it. You know, he drilled it. And, man, that was a great memory. Like, tomorrow we're going to talk with Chris Crutchfield, who spent time at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. He's been a head coach, and now he's coming in to work with Coach Altman as an assistant coach for the Ducks, Chris Crutchfield. We talked with him earlier today, and I just thought it was so perfect that we're thinking about the ascendance of Oregon men's basketball. Well, that game against Duke said a lot about where the Ducks were going, and I think ultimately where the Ducks are now has a lot to do with beating a team like Duke the way that the Ducks did, making it to a Final Four with that core group of guys, right? So all that in mind, it seems fitting that we're going to talk with Coach Crutchfield, and we'll have that for you on the show tomorrow after we talked with him earlier today, because one of the things that Coach Crutchfield talked about is, like, now in recruiting, you know, he came from Oklahoma, from Arkansas. He could recruit to those places, but Oregon and what Coach Altman has done, you pick up the phone when somebody from Oregon calls if you're a recruit, right? Now, I'm not saying that wasn't happening before, but Coach Altman famously said after getting to the Final Four that a lot more guys answered the phone when you called them. And I just think moments like that, you know, it says, a lot about what Mike Krzyzewski has done, that we're sitting here on an Oregon show and saying, hey, he's going to retire. Like, that's a big deal. But also, two, it says a lot about what Oregon has done with its basketball program under Dana Altman and getting to a Sweet 16 basically every other year. There are so many programs that would just die to be in that position. That's what Coach Altman has done. So, to Mike Krzyzewski, the tour, I guess, is on now for the next year or so. And we'll see what happens with that Duke Blue Devils team. Meanwhile, Chris Crutchfield, the Oregon men's basketball assistant coach, that interview for you on the show tomorrow. I learned a lot about Coach Crutchfield this morning. Got a chance to talk to him for about a half an hour. We'll have that for you on the show tomorrow. In addition to our full Eugene regional breakdown for Oregon baseball, keys to success for the Ducks. What's it going to take to get out of that Eugene regional and head to a super regional? We're going to talk about that. Some thoughts from Mark Wazakowski, Jake Angier, Jack Martyr, and Robert Ahlstrom. And what else is on the show tomorrow? Robert Johnson, Oregon track and field head coach. He met with the media while we were on the air today. We'll have some of those comments for you tomorrow as we preview next week's NCAA championships at Hayward Field. If you missed it earlier this week, capacity guidelines have been set for Hayward Field in the NCAA championships. You can find that info on GoDucks.com. Good show today. Thanks to Derek Radley and Rob Moseley. And Scott, get out of here.
Is that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
Hundo